Hey y'all, hi. I'm back, looking and feeling a bit wretched. I'm just gonna put on the makeup I've been wearing today and kind of catch you up a little bit. I have unexpectedly been away from YouTube for like well over a week at this point. There will have been a new makeup hot takes that went up that I filmed before the break. It was because my wonderful, beautiful grandmother reached the end of her life and we had to travel. I'm gonna touch base on that a little bit during the video, not a lot. It's fairly fresh. I don't really feel like capable of doing all that much processing, but I'll be mentioning that, and also because it's like talking about how life is behind the scenes, mentioning a little bit being a parent and having a small child. So if one of those or both of those, grammar. If one of those is or both of those are things that you don't want to be with a little bit today, then skip this one. But other than that, it's just going to be like makeup. We're also going to be doing makeup, okay? Simple, like every day, and a couple of new products that I've been testing out. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. One thing about Mama, and this is Merit Great Skin Moisturizer, which is new. Whoa, it's a lot of light up there. Can you even see that? It's just the bottle, but yeah, even back here, it's like completely overexposed. Weird. Anyway, it's beautiful, like everything that Merit does. And it's interesting. I've been using it for like 10 days at this point. I don't have the Great Skin Serum up here, but you're supposed to use it on top of that kind of as a cream primer, which I haven't tried yet, but I imagine it would work really well because the thing about Merit Great Skin, the primer, is that it's that oily, it's that biphase. If you use too much of it, it makes the surface of the skin really quite wet, which looks gorgeous, but can cause product to slide a little bit. So I always have to make sure that I don't use too much of it. I feel like this, it's thicker than it seems, like it's more nourishing than it seems, but then it spreads out and soaks into almost what feels like I want to say powder finish, but I don't want to overstate it. It's not like it really becomes powder. It's not like the Surratt primer, which is absolutely wild and goes from a cream to what feels like an actual powder. It's not like that, but it does, saying that it feels like it goes to a powdery finish gives you a sense of the kind of dry down that it performs, the kind of transformation it goes through, which is kind of a lot to go from something quite thick and nourishing feeling through to a really elegant, primed, and sort of dry finish in that it's not wet and it's not oily. So I bet it pairs really well with the other one. I've been enjoying using it. And, you know, as always, great skincare makeup hybrid with Merit. One thing about Mama, she really believed in the power of voting. And many times, because she lived to 103, so I had ample opportunity to ask her about her life and ask her for advice and ask her the kinds of things that you would ever have wished that you had asked someone, you know, which I'm so grateful for. I had so many chances, so many years, so many visits during which to ask the things that I would have liked to ask. And on many occasions when I asked for her advice or guidance, just at large, she said, vote and stay hopeful. I'm going to use the Kamiko brow gel just to get a little bit of shaping into my brows. Vote and stay hopeful. And on the final couple of days before she fell asleep for the last time, and then she slept for several days but didn't wake up again. But on those final couple of days before she fell asleep, finally, she was really wanting to make sure that there was going to be a ballot for her. She double checked several times to make sure that my dad had registered her to vote and that her ballot would come to her bedside and she would be able to fill it out at the earliest possible moment. She didn't end up being able to do that, but it was on her mind as ever, one of her most pressing concerns during that time that we got to spend with her, which is just to say, vote if you can. If there's one of you out there who wasn't going to do it and now you do because Mama couldn't, that will be the greatest use I've ever made of this platform. So especially if it's a logistical thing, if if you're like, oh, I'm not going to run out of time, I'll get it together, I'll figure it out, but you're the kind of person who sometimes doesn't get it together and figure it out, don't wait. Make sure you're registered. Make sure you know what the process is in your state, at your address. Make sure that you make use of the power that you have. Okay, I'm testing this new Merit brow pencil. They reformulated. It's so good because it's soft but in a charcoaly way rather than like a creamy way that gets messy and crumbly and kind of smears in the brows. It's soft in a really elegant charcoaly way, but it doesn't sort of smudge into one big field of color. It like retains its hair-like strokes and then it doesn't smudge throughout the day. So it's been incredible. It's like the pencil is not hard. You know, usually to get fine hair-like strokes and some sort of longevity, you have to have a really hard pencil. It's not hard. It's nice and soft and it's very pigmented and the pigment transfers onto the skin very easily, but then it stays. I don't know how they do it. It's like they're always checking a bunch of boxes that most brands can't usually check all at once. Wow, I just did that thing where I completely zoned out and kind of forgot that I was filming while I was doing my brows. I ended up going kind of hard. I'm out of it. I mean, I'm tired. I'm partly doing this check-in to be like, why was I gone for so long? And also it's just a lot of things have happened that have set us back on our heels over the past year. Just not just having a baby, but like after that, other individual things. And so I feel like there are often times when I come on here and I'm like, we're back on our heels. We're kind of starting from scratch. We're a little bit behind. It just has been, this thing happens where I say that and then I'm like, I'm saying that all the time. I'm constantly saying that. I need to stop saying that. And then I remember, but it's actually true. It has actually been a lot. There have been a lot of things. Am I done with my brows? I don't want to go back to that space. So this is sort of that. This video is like another one of those. But of course, we just had the wildest couple of weeks, very emotionally challenging, logistically challenging. All of the sudden travel was a lot. All of the driving. And then once we were down there, driving back and forth, it's like almost an hour from where my dad lives to where my grandmother was. And so we were going back and forth a lot in the car. It was a lot for the baby who is 1 year old now. Can you believe that? Just turned 1 pretty recently. So everybody's sleep has been disrupted. Everybody's energy has been kind of drained down to its last drop. And that was why I was sitting here zoning out, forgetting what I was doing. And aren't my brows like a little uneven now? Because that's what happens. You get really focused and then lose perspective. I didn't necessarily mean to make them so structured. That's part of the issue now. Because the more structured they are, the more the discrepancies show, the mismatch will show. But I did mean to go kind of hard with them because I'm getting another haircut today. I have loved the blunt cut bob, the long blunt cut bob, especially at the beginning, right? It felt incredibly fresh compared to the long grown out shag that I had before. The blunt ends were really fresh and exciting. The kind of graphic nature of it for me, because I've never had anything like that. And the bob was a huge change. But the moment that it grew out, like more than a half inch past where it had been, it got a little too long. And then it just was like, it was just like dragging my face down and dragging itself down. And it seemed to always kind of look stringy and just didn't have that lightness. Even though there was a lot of texture underneath, it was pulling itself straight from the top because my hair is so heavy. So it was a good experiment for me. What's next? Complexion. It was a good experiment for me. I'm going to use Exa Green Color Corrector. Oh, by the way, the Merit shade that I used is a black brown. They also sent dark brown or whatever the next one is, and I prefer this one. That's what this is, black brown. It's a great color for me. So I'm going to use Exa Green Color Corrector and the 2 Refi concealers as always. The Refi concealers are 01 and 03. And we'll mix it all together. It was a good experiment for me. I'm glad that I did it. It was interesting to have that sort of simple cut, basically. But I've realized that for longevity, like to get a cut that grows out beautifully for me and continues to kind of have shape and retain its character as it grows out, it has to be choppier than that. You know what I mean? It has to really be shaggier, be a little bit more tousled, asymmetrical. So I'm going back today and I'm going to have my stylist carve into the bob that's here, shorten it, make it choppier, maybe a little shaping, like kind of like a French bob, you know, like that's like curved, but it'll be shaggier. But no bangs yet. I just don't think I can take it right now. I really still like being able to pull the front parts back, but the front needs to get carved into a lot because I have so much hair that grows out of like the front part of my head, and it's really starting to weigh itself down. So I might have some quite long curtain bangs, like some face framing, but it won't be like up here. They'll be like way down here. I'm going to talk it over with her and see. So I wanted to go hard with my brows because I feel like that maybe some salons are starting to wise up and do better, but I feel like often at the salon, the lighting is designed for the stylist to be able to see your hair really well. So it's like from above and from behind, and then it's really not flattering to the face. So I look in the mirror when I'm getting my hair cut and I'm like, I am a wretched worm. And then at the end, it's like the hair looks fine itself, but I look terrible in it. And then it always takes me some time to get used to how it actually looks and realize that it doesn't look wretched. I've had that experience so many times in my life, and I think it's because of salon lighting. So my strategy has been to strengthen my features, the features of my face, to kind of stand up to that lighting. So I dye my brows if I can. I'm not going to have time today. Darken my brows, often like wear a lipstick, wear some eyeliner, mascara, just make sure to like really go in with a bold face to keep my features defined and not washed out by that lighting. So that's 03 around the edges of the face, and here's 01. And I'll tell you, these are the products I traveled with with this Rephr brush, the B02, I am doing for you now what I've been doing every day for the past 2 weeks during all of this upheaval, this unusual time of life, just kind of get myself together a little bit. So this side of my family, I was from Asheville, North Carolina. So we drove down when we realized that it was time. Although Mama was a child in Chattanooga, Tennessee during the Depression. She had an amazing life. Her mother was French. Her father was from Chattanooga, Tennessee. But when Mama was a little girl, they got divorced, which was totally unheard of at that time. And I believe that Mama, her mother, my great-grandmother, and Mama's little brother were basically social outcasts and ended up like house squatting during the Depression, like just going from abandoned house to abandoned house, trying to get by. Again, I've had opportunity to hear these stories and ask these things as she's, as she got like into her late 80s, into her 90s, and then past 100, which is such a gift. But she lived in Asheville for the vast majority of her life and for all of my life. And that was where we went. We can't make the drive all in one day. So it was like a 2-day prospect all the way there, staying over in a hotel and a 2-day prospect on the way back. But we made it. We made it in time to spend 3 really great afternoons with her when she was sitting up, lucid, sleeping on and off, but present enough to really connect. And then one afternoon where she had fallen asleep and wasn't waking up again, but we were able to be there and hold her hand. And I think I'm not going to talk about it anymore after that. But that's the shape of things. That's where I was. That's why I haven't been filming. And, it's really strange. And grief is strange. It takes strange shapes. And I'm familiar with that. But right here, right now, most of what I can see is how peaceful it was, how lucky it was that we were able to be there in time. Mostly right now, I'm just really grateful. I love the skin look. I love this concealer. I already feel like I want to make like a best makeup of the year. It's a little too soon. Usually people do that at the end of the year, but I feel like I already know what the things are. They're just a handful of things that have blown me away this year in spite of everything else. No, I'm just going to put mascara. So I've been using the Redhead Revolution mascara. It's so good. Genuine Ginger. So now we're back. Oh, let me tell you about what's going on with the channel. We're back trying to pick up the pieces. There was a new Makeup Hot Takes that was filmed right before we went. That should already be up. And I'll probably have pinned a comment explaining why there was such a long gap. I love the mascara. It's like fluffy lashes, the color of my actual hair. I kind of want to put more on because of the haircut situation. So the other thing that I filmed weeks ago, I was about to say I foolishly, but it wasn't foolish. One can understand why I thought that it would make sense for me to declutter my entire closet category by category. In theory, it's a great idea. Perhaps foolishly, I started with the pants, a giant fraught category, and I was determined to declutter literally every single pant that I own, and I did do that. But what happened then was I ended up with this massive video with all of this B-roll footage. I think it's like 2.5 hours long. Buckle in. I mean, it's going to be the new decluttering all my blushes and all the history of my channel, blah, blah. It's going to be the new fall asleep to it every night because it is so long, kind of ASMR-y because we did part of it overhead. But then it was like, well, what are we going to do with this? Like I filmed it and then it's like, well, we can't have it up this week. Can't have it up next week. Probably can't have it up the week after. And then I was like, well, I'm also going to do the dresses because I had done the B-roll of the dresses too. So I did the pants declutter, did the dress declutter. We have these massive videos in the works that we're just slogging through, and wonderful Lucy, one of our editors, has really done the lion's share of the work on that, getting it ready for me to overlay the B-roll. But all of us, I feel, Joe, Lucy, and I are all like dragging this pants declutter and this dress declutter around like 2 giant sacks full of rocks. It's going to be great. They're going to be great, I think. I mean, I haven't gone through yet. One of my tasks this week is to start chipping away at my part of the editing because that's how it goes. Like everybody has a hand in the editing now. What are we doing? Oh, let us apply the Rhode blush. This is the Rhode Pocket Blush in Sleepy Girl. How appropriate. It is so good. That's all I'll say. I still am going to do a Rhode review. It is so much better than I expected it to be. I mean, I like blush again. So the thing is, I did these massive declutters too, presumably kicking off a whole series that would include the blouses and the knitwear and all of the stuff, but it didn't really go well. I have these like 2 videos. I'm gonna post them, but I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared to declutter. I hadn't really thought it through. I didn't have goals. I didn't have a Pinterest board. I hadn't made decisions about how harsh I was going to be. I kind of just felt like, oh, I can do this. I'll just throw myself into it. I'll know what to do. And I got into it and I didn't know what to do. So I need to take a step back and make a new strategy and make a video about that. Kind of like why the declutter honestly stressed me out so much. And here I am sitting in my house, this new house that we moved to months after the move, without really my clothes like unpacked and organized, because I was like, I'm going to declutter first. So it's been this huge roadblock to getting settled in the house in that way. I'm not quite living out of a suitcase. I have been for the past couple of weeks, but it's not like that. But I am still living from this kind of edited random pile of clothes that I managed to put together and have managed to cull a thong here, like a cropped sweater there from like the boxes that are sitting around waiting for the declutter. So it's a mess, and it's psychologically heavy. That's the thing that I didn't realize before I did the pants and the dresses. I finished this with a lip, although guess what I'm about to film after this? The finale of the tinted lip balm championship. So whatever I put on my lips, I'm just going to take right off. Oh, but you know what I want? I want a little highlight. I want to put this Surat Diamante, the Torch Lumiere Diamante. Just a little though. Ooh, and I'm going to take it onto my lids a little. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's really brought it all alive. I'm just going to put a little Auric Haze on for now. I had this with me in my travel bag. Such an amazing product. Honestly, it's like the perfect color and it's so nourishing to the lips. And I am a proud Auric affiliate. Lest you have forgotten, let me tell you, with a discount code. So I'll link this and I'll put that in the description box. I think it's just Hannah. I think the code is just Hannah. So stay tuned for the pants declutter and the dress declutter and a video about why I need a new strategy that's not just barreling through every category, trying to successfully declutter without thinking it through. And in that video also, I will have thought it through and I'll have a strategy. And I do have an idea of what it's going to be. So that is it. That's the look. This is kind of like my current everyday go-to makeup, testing a couple of new products, letting you know where I've been. What a time of life. I know it's going to take a while to process it all, so I'm not pushing myself to do that now, but I did want to get you caught up. Thank you for being here. Thank you for still being here, even though I dropped off the map for a little while with no explanation. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you and how much I hope that you are remembering to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.